Heartwarming call. Poor girl's tears dialed a CEO's number. Discover the life-changing surprise. Lily sat on the steps of her porch, her heart heavy with despair. The faded streets of Elmwood echoed with the chatter of kids her age, but all she felt was loneliness. After being teased at school for the hand-me-down clothes that hung loose on her small frame, defeated, outdated, she felt crushed. The weight of her family's financial struggles bore down on her. Tears blurred her vision as she thought of her dream to become a veterinarian. Would she ever escape the confines of this town and the shadows of her father's pride? It seemed impossible. In that moment, desperation sparked a wild idea. With trembling fingers, she dialed a number she'd memorized from the news, a distant lifeline to CEO James Carter, a man she admired for his kindness and success. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Mr. Carter, it's Lily. I just need someone to understand." The words spilled out, fumbling, raw. She told him about her dreams trapped beneath layers of poverty, and how she longed for a better life, not just for herself but for her family. Each confession felt like a weight lifting, her truth unraveling in the warmth of honesty. Meanwhile, standing in his sleek office, James listened intently, and a wave of emotion washed over him. He could almost feel the same isolation that had once clung to him in his youth. Memories flooded back, days spent worrying about meals, nights haunted by the dreams that felt forever out of reach. Moved by her struggle, James decided he could no longer remain a distant figure. He had to find her, had to help. As news spread that the CEO was coming to Elmwood, excitement rippled through the town. Lily couldn't believe it. Could someone like him really understand? The flicker of hope ignited a fire inside her, but fear danced just beneath the surface. Would her family be open to the help she longed for? Would they accept something from a stranger, a man whose life seemed galaxies away from theirs? The mixed feelings were overwhelming. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day finally arrived. The town buzzed with energy, streets lined with hopeful faces. But for Lily, the day felt more like a tightrope walk. As she watched James step onto the diner's worn wooden floor, his charismatic smile filled the space. But in her chest, a knot twisted tighter. How could someone so successful, understand the depths of her struggles? As he approached her, she hesitated, caught between yearning for change and clinging to familial pride. Around her, whispers filled the air, the juxtaposition of hope and tension palpable. Would their small family shattered by financial woes rise anew, or would they cringe under the weight of generosity they weren't sure they could accept? With every heartbeat, change seemed closer yet more unnerving. Just as Lily was ready to respond to the influx of warmth and kindness, a shocking revelation about James's past spilled forth, one that tied him to her world in an unexpected way. Doubts flickered within her, mingling with the sparks of hope. Could this really transform her life, or would the shadows of the past bind them all in a struggle too heavy to bear? The air in the diner felt electrified, charged with anticipation. James stood before Lily, his deep gaze drawing her in. "I know what it's like to be caught in a web of circumstances," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I grew up in a family that struggled, and it shaped who I am today." Lily's heart raced. This was not the response she had expected. Could it be true? Behind every suit and tie was a story of heartache and perseverance. She searched his eyes, trying to find a glimpse of the boy he once was, someone who had faced the same kind of pain that shadowed her life. "Your courage to call me means more than you realize," James continued, stepping closer. "I want to help you, if you'd let me. I believe in second chances." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But not just financially. I want to mentor you, guide you toward your dream of becoming a veterinarian. Lily could hardly breathe. 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind. But my family, will they accept help? The doubt laced her voice as she glanced toward the booth where her parents sat, digesting their meals in silence. It felt as if they were worlds apart, separated by layers of pride and struggle. James caught her hesitation. Lily, sometimes accepting help is the strongest thing you can do. Together, we could show them the beauty in community and support, he said gently. I'll be here every step of the way. Just then, a voice broke through the murmurs of the diner. It was Mrs. Thompson, the kind-faced waitress who witnessed the transformation of so many in Elmwood. You tell him, Lily. You tell him what you want. She encouraged, the warmth in her words spilling over the tables. Behind her, patrons nodded, echoing their hopeful support. Lily felt her resolve wavering. Slowly, she whispered, I want a chance, a real chance. The words hung in the air, trembling, waiting for the acknowledgement they needed. James smiled, a true understanding shining through. Then let us make it happen. I'll set up a scholarship, and we'll explore ways to get you to the best veterinary schools. You won't be alone in this. Lily felt a flicker of warmth spreading through her chest, a feeling she hadn't dared to hope for. But beneath it lingered an unsettling question: if her life began to change, what would that mean for her parents? Could she step into a new world without leaving them behind? Just as she opened her mouth to voice her concern, the door swung open, and a chill swept through the diner. In walked a group of well-dressed executives, their laughter cutting through the earlier warmth. The tension snapped back, and eyes turned towards them, intrigued. Lily's heart sank. Would this disrupt the moment? Would they judge her? Just as fear grasped at her, she caught a sight of James standing fiercely in place, watching the scene unfold. He seemed unshaken, calm amidst the chaos. In that moment, a realization dawned on her. It wasn't just about her needs. It was about rising together, as a community, beyond stigma and pride. But would her family stand with her on this new journey? Would she find the courage to lead them into a better future? This moment felt like the initial spark of change. But as emotions swirled, Lily's path began to blur. Would she embrace this unexpected journey, or retreat back into the shadows she had fought so hard to escape? The diner's chatter faded into the background as she sat poised between fear and hope, waiting for the next step to unfold. The chatter in the diner swirled around Lily like a fog, muffling the laughter from the newcomers. Her heart thudded wildly in her chest, each beat amplifying the uncertainty that engulfed her. What if the executives disrupted this fragile moment? James, stolid and composed, had not wavered. His gaze held steady on her, as if she were the only thing in the world that mattered. Overwhelmed by the glance that felt both supportive and fierce, Lily searched for her voice. What if they think I'm not deserving? James stepped forward, his confidence radiating through the uncertainty. Forget them. This is about you, Lily. It's time for you to fight for what you want. The only judgment that matters is yours. His words wrapped around her like a protective shield, igniting something dormant inside. Lily took a deep breath, summoning the courage she didn't know she had. The executives were still blustering about their table, flush with laughter, oblivious to the gravity of the moment that danced on the edge of her reality. Mrs. Thompson approached the booth, her apron trailing behind her like a flag of empowerment. Can I get you folks something? She asked, her warm eyes darting between the guests and Lily. Lily felt a surge of support ripple through the diner, the patrons surrounding her, sending waves of encouragement. It was as if they held a collective heartbeat that thrummed alongside hers. She forced herself to look away from the executives and back at James, who had walked closer, his presence grounding her. Let us take a walk, he suggested, offering his arm with a gentleness that made her feel seen, valued. Side by side, they stepped away from the diner's embrace, leaving behind the thick air of doubt and apprehension. Outside, the evening sky glowed with a cascade of orange and purple hues, the sun practically bowing out with a flourish. Lily took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, calming the storm inside. What if my family doesn't understand? She finally asked, the shadow of fear creeping back. Families don't always see things the way we do. But that doesn't mean they won't come around. Change is hard, but it's also necessary, James replied, each word laced with sincerity. If your parents care for you, they want what's best. You just need to show them that this is your best chance. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in, before continuing, and maybe you can help them see that asking for help can be a strength, not a weakness. Lily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, but the ashes of doubt still lingered. You really think they see it that way? That I'm not just abandoning them? I know they might take time to understand. But you're fighting for your dream, he replied, his eyes unwavering. And dreams are worth fighting for, yours and theirs. You deserve this chance. Just then, a loud laugh erupted from the diner, pulling both of their attention back to the door. The laughter belonged to the group of executives, who had stepped outside, curiosity written all over their faces. Lily's heart raced, she felt exposed. What would they think? Sensing her unease, James placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Just be you. They can't take away your future. His words echoed in her mind as she stood at the crossroads of fear and possibility, feeling the momentum shift beneath her. Everything felt possible, but the fear of disappointment lingered like a stubborn shadow. Would she have the strength to step forward and embrace this new life? Or would she allow the naysayers to hold her back from the chance she so desperately needed? As the executives moved in closer, Lily felt the air charged with even more anticipation. What followed next would change everything. Would she rise to the occasion, or would she retreat once again? The tension hung palpably in the air, waiting for the moment to break. Lily's heart raced as the executives fanned out, their chatter growing louder. She looked up at James, his expression steady, a mixture of encouragement and challenge in his gaze. With a small nod, he seemed to signal that the moment had come. She inhaled deeply, grounding herself in all the support she felt around her. Hey there. What is going on? One of the executives, a tall man with slicked back hair and a sharp suit, approached them. His smile was wide, but there was an edge of bewilderment in his eyes. The others followed, their interest piqued. In that instant, Lily was caught between panic and resolve. She stuttered, struggling to find her voice that had hidden itself so deeply inside her. Lily, James whispered gently, empowering her with the softness of his voice. You've got this. She took another steady breath and straightened her shoulders. I wanted to speak with you about a project, she managed to say, her voice gaining a tremor but steadiness accompanied it. The group of executives exchanged puzzled looks. A project? The tall man echoed, raising an eyebrow. What kind of project? Her mind whirled with all the ways she could present herself, the ideas she had so fervently sketched out. I've been working on some marketing concepts that could align with your company's vision. It's, based on connecting with the community. Before she could finish, the shorter executive with a lightning bolt tattoo on his wrist interrupted, marketing is crucial, but can we discuss later? We have a schedule. James took a small step forward, his protective aura surrounding her. Maybe you should give her a chance. She's been working hard, and she deserves to be heard. The executives began to murmur amongst themselves, the confusion turning into curiosity. Laughter still danced in the air behind them, but tension wrapped around this new moment, heightening the stakes. Lily felt the warmth of the diner creeping up on her like it was pushing her forward. I know I'm not experienced like everyone here, but I believe in these ideas. They resonate with what people need right now. It's more than just business. She looked them in the eyes, her heart pounding, each beat echoing her passion. It's about making real connections. A pause fell over the group. The tall man chuckled softly, a thoughtful look crossing his face. Okay, let us say we entertain this. What's the main idea? The moment felt electric, and Lily dove right in. It's about sharing personal stories, people's dreams and struggles that resonate with everyday life. Your company can be a platform for hope, not just another brand. Gradually, she began to weave her vision, her excitement spilling forth like a river breaking free. The executives listened intently, their demeanor changing from skepticism to genuine intrigue. With every moment, Lily felt more at ease. Wow, that's pretty inspiring, one executive nodded slowly. I didn't expect that. James smiled at her, pride shining in his eyes. But just as she began to feel the heady rush of possibility, a familiar face appeared from beneath the hum of chatter inside the diner. It was her father, his brows furrowed and his fist clenching tightly. Lily's heart sank. What was he doing here? She could see his disapproval from across the lot, a shadow of doubt creeping back in. This wasn't just about her anymore. Her chance at success felt tenuous with him watching, ready to pull her back. As the executives began to ask questions, she felt a sinking feeling rise within her. Would she allow fear to reclaim her strength? Or could she finally break free from the weight of expectations? Lily, James whispered, pulling her gaze back to him. Stay strong. You're already doing the hardest part. Would she dare to stand firm, or would she retreat like she always had? The moment felt poised and fragile, full of potential and chaos. And as she inhaled the warmth of hope, she wondered if her father would support her dreams or hold her back. The next moment would define everything. Lily's eyes flicked back to her father. He stood there, arms crossed, a picture of disapproval. Her heart tightened as panic surged through her. What would he say? How could she prove that she was capable when his discontent loomed over her like a thundercloud? The executives were still watching her, their interest held on the brink of a new idea. Lily. Her father's voice pierced the air, sharp and demanding. She flinched, her confidence wavering. Dad, let us go, he insisted, moving closer. You don't need to waste your time here. Extraction. That's how it felt. As if he was trying to pull her out of something she needed to stay in. The weight of his presence pressed down on her, threatening to squish her hope like a fragile flower under boot, but before she could respond, James stepped between them. Sir, if I may, he started, standing tall. Lily is doing something remarkable. She is speaking about her vision, and I believe it's important for a young professional to have the chance to present her ideas. Lily blinked, the unexpected support fueling a flicker of courage inside her. She could see intrigue spreading across the faces of the executives. They were engaged, and so was she. Please, Dad, she managed, her voice steadier than before. Just give me a moment. This means a lot to me. Her father looked pained, torn between the protective instinct of a father and the daughter he had raised who now stood before him with a spark of determination. The world is changing, James added gently, his eyes imploring. And so are the stories we share. Lily's ideas reflect that change. Silence enveloped them. For a heartbeat, the diners around the counter went quiet, sensing the tension like a tightening string. Lily took the opportunity, grounding her thoughts in the warmth of her own excitement. Dad, I believe I can contribute something meaningful. Just let me show you. He hesitated, uncertainty painting his features. The tall executive cleared his throat. Perhaps it's worth hearing her out? You might even be surprised. Lily glanced back at them, feeling the flicker of hope ignite within again. The concept revolves around storytelling, she stated firmly, shifting her tone. Not just about products but the people behind them, our roots, our dreams. She watched her father's expression shift, momentarily intrigued, as if he was allowing a crack in his resolve. Every soul in that diner leaned closer, the chatter fading to a dull hum. Storytelling builds trust, she continued, her heart racing in rhythm with her words. If people can relate, they won't just buy a product, they buy into a community, a vision. It's about connection, Dad. It's about recognizing our shared humanity. She paused, scanning the executives' faces. They were nodding, smiles breaking through their former skepticism. Somewhere deep inside, she felt a shift. "What have you got in mind?" the lightning bolt tattoo executive asked, his voice softened by a newfound curiosity. Before she could reply, her father bristled again, but this time other voices joined in, encouraging her. "Let her speak," one murmured. "I want to hear this." The old layers of fear began to peel away, and Lily saw a chance not just for herself, but for her father to understand. There was still uncertainty, still a dread of judgment. But now, she didn't feel alone. "Lily," her father started again but caught his breath. "Please," she said softly, holding his gaze. "Listen to me. I'm here because I believe in what I can contribute. Can't you see that?" With that, she felt liberation swell within her chest as she prepared to wrap her ideas around the hearts of the people before her. There was no turning back now. What if, just maybe, this was the moment she had been waiting for? Would she finally find her voice and create something powerful? Or would external doubts knock her down again? Before the weight of uncertainty could crush her spirit, someone in the crowd spoke up. "We're ready to listen, Lily. Let us hear your story." Could this be the moment she transforms fear into courage? The potential shimmered in the air. And Lily took a deep breath, ready to forge ahead. But as she opened her mouth, would her father finally relinquish control, or would she wrestle with that familiar burden for one last time? Lily took a deep breath, feeling every eye on her, their anticipation palpable as they waited for her to unpack her vision. The moment hung heavy in the air, charged with a mixed brew of hope and anxiety. She glanced at her father, willing him to see her not just as his daughter, but as a professional with something worthy to say. "Storytelling bridges gaps," she began, her voice shaking slightly but gaining strength with each word. "Think about the brands that inspire you. They don't just sell, they connect. They share lives, experiences, dreams. I want to create content that does just that." She gestured broadly, embodying her passion, her hands dancing through the air like a conductor orchestrating a symphony. The executives were nodding. She could feel it, their curiosity was real. She pressed forward, fueled by their engagement. "Imagine campaigns that feature real people, their stories woven into the fabric of our products. They showcase not only what we sell but the values we stand for." A faint smile crept across her father's lips, but it was mixed with concern. He was still there, shadows of doubt etched into his features. Behind him, James's supportive presence bolstered her confidence. Lily felt like she was standing at the edge of a great diving board, ready to leap into the unknown. "What if we shared stories of local heroes?" Lily proposed, her voice building momentum. "The single mother who juggles 3 jobs while supporting her children? The veteran who uses his skills to mentor youth? Their triumphs and struggles show the heart of our community." She glanced momentarily at her father, hoping he would hear the passion in her words. One executive leaned forward, the spark of intrigue lighting his eyes. "And this would connect to our brand how, exactly?" "It's about authenticity," she exclaimed, her heart thrumming. "People want to feel something when they see a brand, not just buy a product. They want to know the stories behind the items, they want to see their own lives reflected back at them." The atmosphere shifted. It was no longer just about her father's judgment or the executive's approval. It was bigger than that, it was about her voice resonating with everyone gathered in that diner. "But what if nobody cares about these stories?" her father interjected, his voice still laced with skepticism. Lily met his gaze determinedly. "Dad, stories matter. They're the fabric of our culture, our community. People relate to them, they see themselves. I want to create a platform where those voices are heard." Silence wrapped around them. Her heart raced. She could sense the executives weighing her words, considering their impact. Suddenly, the tattooed executive spoke again, "You just might have something here, Lily. It's fresh, different. People want connection." Lily's breath caught in her throat. For the first time, she witnessed a crack in her father's armor. He shifted slightly, and she could see the seed of contemplation sprouting in his expression. "Maybe it's worth exploring?" he finally muttered, a quiet admission of potential. Encouraged, Lily pressed on, building momentum. "Let us craft stories that emphasize community initiatives, sustainability, and compassion. We can turn our brand into something that truly represents who we are. I want people to know we care." She could see nods of approval, smiles beginning to bloom. A torrent of ideas swelled in her mind, propelling her forward. With every syllable, she was reclaiming her voice and reshaping her narrative. Then a resounding clap broke through, and someone called out, "We want to hear more, Lily. Let us make this happen." Her heart leapt. Had she finally turned the tide? Reaching for the projector remote, she was ready to dive into her slides, aiming to showcase her concepts. But before she could click, she noticed a flicker of uncertainty behind her father's eyes. The questions lingering just beneath the surface sought to be voiced. What if this moment was only the beginning? As she turned back to him, would he lean into this new understanding or retreat into the shadows of doubt? And more importantly, what would this mean for their relationship moving forward? Lily, caught between hope and uncertainty, inhaled deeply and smiled. But as her finger hovered over the button, the riddle weighed heavily. Was she ready for what came next? Lily steadied herself, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down. This wasn't just about her ideas, it was about connecting with her father, his approval, and the brand they were creating together. She clicked the remote, the screen flickering to life, revealing the vibrant faces of community members who had shared their stories. As the images played, she felt the warmth of engagement wrap around her. The executives leaned in, captivated. There was a young mother, smiling bravely as she held a tray of fresh baked goods, the pride etched on her face after saving enough to send her child to a good school. Next, an elderly war veteran spoke of mentorship programs, visibly emotional. With each story, she caught glimpses of the audience moving from skepticism to a growing connection. Her heart raced as she realized her vision was no longer just hers alone, it was resonating with others. As the presentation rolled on, she glanced fleetingly at her father. The corners of his mouth twitched as he absorbed the joy, the authenticity of each tale. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope that this could shift their dynamic, that he might see beyond whatever shadow had loomed over their past. But just as soon as that light peeked through, the moment felt precarious. The last slide faded to black, and silence fell. "What do you think?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, the vulnerability creeping in again. One of the executives spoke first. "I think you're onto something huge, Lily. But why should we take this leap? What's in it for the brand?" Lily's hands gripped the podium. It was a question she had anticipated, but hearing it now made her stumble. She needed to find the right words. It's not just about sales. It's about loyalty. When people feel seen and understood, they don't just become customers, they become advocates. They share the stories, they bring others into the fold. It could redefine who we are as a brand. Her father nodded slightly, an encouraging sign, but she still sensed a tug of resistance from his core. Lily turned to him, words spilling out. "Dad, I know this is different. I know I'm asking for a lot. But can't you see it? This approach could unite us all and heal community wounds. And it starts here with us." And just like that, the air shifted again. James, sitting quietly in the back, rose to his feet. The room turned, all eyes on him. "Lily's right," he said, his eyes shining with sincerity. "We share one big mission to make a difference. This isn't just a campaign. It's a moment in time where we can choose to stand for something real. To build a legacy." The executives began to murmur their agreement, but Lily could still feel the tension hanging in her father's gaze. Would he continue to embrace this new path or retreat into the protective barriers he had constructed around himself? Suddenly, an unexpected voice chimed in from the back. "I'd like to share a story." It was the tattooed executive, leaning forward in his seat. One that mirrors what Lily just presented. "It's deeply personal and well, it changed my world." Her heart skipped a beat. What could he reveal? What deeper connections could be formed through his experience? As she took a breath, she realized this was not just about presenting ideas, it was about sparking genuine transformation. For Lily, this was the moment she had longed for. A bridge was being built, but would they all choose to walk across it together? With nerves tingling like electricity in the air, she leaned in, ready to listen, ready for the surprise that came next. What could unfold from this sharing? Would her father's heart open to the possibilities surrounding them, or would he remain stuck in his doubts? The room vibrated with potential. The tattooed executive cleared his throat, and the tension in the room hung thick like fog. All eyes remained glued to him as he shifted in his seat, revealing not just inked skin but a soul marked by struggle. "I grew up in a neighborhood much like the ones we've seen today, full of people trying to make their lives better against all odds," he began, his voice resonating with the quiet strength of someone who had lived through hardship. Lily felt the pulse of the room quicken. Some executives leaned in closer, sensing the gravity of his words. "When I was 17, I lost my mother. It was sudden. One moment she was there, and the next his voice caught, and the vulnerability was palpable. We had nothing. I was on the street, fighting to survive. I watched my friends fall into the cycles of complacency and despair. But someone saw me." He paused, eyes locking on Lily. "A mentor. He didn't just offer me a job, he offered me hope." Lily's breath hitched. This wasn't just a story, it was a mirror reflecting exactly what she had hoped to convey. Every narrative of struggle painted a pathway of resilience. She realized that she wasn't alone in this. Everyone yearned to share their story and awareness with the world. "This mentor took the time, invested in my future," he continued, plastering a smile that almost didn't reach his eyes. "He showed me that there were people willing to care, to uplift. I promise you, that connection turned my life around. It isn't just about profits, it's about purpose, about changing lives." The room fell silent again, absorbing his tale. Lily felt a shift within her, the air felt heavier with hope. Could this vulnerability be what her father needed to let his walls crumble? She dared a glance his way. His expression had softened, though still caught up in thought. James interjected, "This is exactly it. When we tell our stories, we are investing in others. We inspire people to advocate for our brand because they see themselves in our mission." As the discussion unfolded, Lily saw the executives nodding in agreement. The conversation flowed into brainstorming ideas, their voices blending into a symphony of potential. But amid the noise, she kept returning to her father, who had yet to make a sound. Suddenly, a laughter erupted from the group, and the tattooed executive chuckled along. "I didn't come here to pitch. I came here to share a moment that changed me. I want my life, my journey to mean something. That's what we can do for our community too." His heartfelt plea settled into the room like an embrace. Each person seemed an integral thread in the gathering tapestry of change that Lily dreamed of creating. But still, her father remained quiet. She could feel the weight of his uncertainty pressing against the newfound momentum. "Dad," she dared to start, her voice trembling slightly. "What do you think?" He blinked slowly, brow furrowing as the storm in his mind played out on his face. "I see where we can go, but can we truly reach them?" Whatever confidence he had built within the walls of his empire wrestled with the desire for connection. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, the room fell silent again, holding its breath. The weight of the moment pressed against them, all the stakes higher than ever. This was it. Would her father step into the light or shrink back into the shadows? Could he embrace this new vision alongside her? The answer felt just beyond grasp, and as she waited, she could feel the electric charge of possibility sparking all around her. Would he take the leap? The tension was almost unbearable. Lily watched her father, his face caught in a flicker of indecision. The silence stretched, an elastic band ready to snap. She held her breath, heart racing. Did he feel the same pull toward the vision she had laid out? Did he truly understand the chance they had to bring change? Finally, her father seemed to gather himself. He clasped his hands tightly on the table, knuckles white against the surface. He hesitated, searching for the right words. I want to believe we can make a difference. A flicker of hope danced in Lily's chest. But it's a risk. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. Risk is how we grow, James chimed in. His voice was steady, a grounding force in the storm of emotions swirling around them. Sometimes, it's the leap into the unknown that leads to the most transformative outcomes. Lily's father's gaze shifted from James back to the tattooed executive, who was nodding encouragingly. I took that leap, the executive said softly. Every step after that has been a culmination of dreams. I didn't do it alone. I had people to lift me up. And that's what we can do together. We can be that foundation for someone else. He was appealing not just to her father's business acumen, but to his heart. That was the game changer. It was less about strategy and more about connecting with humanity. Slowly, she noticed a change in her father's demeanor. His strong exterior seemed to crack just a little, the old walls brick by brick yielding to this new vision that begged to be born. What if we could create something that truly resonates? He whispered, almost to himself. What if we could turn our resources into a lifeline? Yes. Lily almost shouted, the words bursting forth. That's exactly it, Dad. Imagine funding programs that empower youth, giving them the tools to succeed. Celebrating their stories like ours. We can be a beacon of hope. We can inspire change. All around them, the executives nodded vigorously, excitement igniting in their eyes. The conversation was picking up speed again. Ideas were proliferating, each suggestion more vibrant than the last. The room was alive, a mixture of energy and ambition hanging thick in the air like a warm summer breeze, but just as Lily felt she had her father's attention, a flicker of doubt shadowed his eyes. You really think they will trust us? He asked, his voice quieter now. What if they see us as just another corporation, another suit hiding behind a brand? A stillness descended again, and all eyes turned toward the tattooed executive, who took a moment before responding. That's why your authentic story matters, sir. Vulnerability bridges the gaps. Share your truth, your purpose. People will respond not to your title, but to your heart. The gravity of those words settled in. Lily felt a surge of determination. Dad, the world needs to know you care. They need to see you're not just a businessman, but a person willing to invest in lives beyond profits. You can lead this. He inhaled deeply, absorbing the honest urgency around him. The layers of fear and apprehension slowly began peeling away. All right, let us start this journey, then, he finally said, a hint of resolve in his voice. Let us not just talk about change, but be the change. Cheers erupted in the room, smiles exchanged like currency. A sense of warmth enveloped them all, birth of a mission that felt monumental. In that moment, it transcended business, it became something bigger. It was a promise of a brighter future. Lily took her father's hand under the table, squeezing it tightly. His fingers were warm, and she could feel the new energy pulsating between them. Together, they had taken the first step. Just then, the door creaked open, and the sound of footsteps interrupted the jubilant air. Lily turned, a knot forming in her stomach. Who could that be? With one glance back at her father, uncertainty hung in the air. What distraction awaited them now? Would it threaten the momentum they had just built? The door swung wide, revealing a familiar face, Mrs. Thompson, the beloved waitress from the diner. Her smile radiated warmth, cutting through the earlier tension like the sun piercing dark clouds. Behind her trailed a small crowd of townsfolk, curious eyes filled with hope and excitement. "Lily! We heard what's happening," Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, her voice a beautiful mix of disbelief and joy. "We want to support you, whatever you need." The patrons filed in, spreading across the room, their hearts open and eager to lift Lily and her father's vision. Her breath hitched at the sight. They were not just strangers, but her community, those who had felt the sting of hardship alongside her. They understood her journey because it was theirs too. Seeing those faces, cemented Lily's resolve. In that moment, she turned to her father, their eyes locking. Words emerged, barely above a whisper, "We can't just build this alone. It has to be for everyone, not just us." He nodded, the hardness softening around the edges of his expression. "Let us make it a community initiative." Stories poured from all sides, unfurling like petals after a long winter. The excitement in the room swelled. The executives leaned closer, smiles crossing their faces, while Mrs. Thompson took center stage. "Together, we can gather stories from our neighborhood. Let us show the world the resilience of Elmwood." "Exactly," Lily added, feeling the rush of enthusiasm ignite within her. "We can use social media to elevate our voices and inspire others. Each story could turn into a campaign of its own." Her father seemed to catch fire with their plan. "We can create a platform to share not only our struggles but also our triumphs." The discussion ignited, brainstorming name ideas, potential launch dates, and the types of stories they wanted to share. "Let us host an event," one of the executives suggested, eyes sparkling with inspiration. "A community festival where everyone comes together to share their narratives." Exclamations and laughter erupted, filling the space with energy. Together, the room ignited like a celebration, and Lily felt something inside her lift, freedom wrapped in unity. "Can you feel that?" she whispered to her father, his presence beside her feeling more solid than ever. "That's hope." As her father gripped her shoulder tighter, a smile broke across his face. "I admit, I didn't see it before." But now he breathed in deeply, an earnest serenity beginning to radiate through him. James, watching from the back, added, "True change comes when we let our barriers down. Together, that's exactly what we can do." The collaboration hummed with possibility, like a live wire connecting each of them to the heart of Elmwood. Lily glanced at her father again, and for the first time, she saw him not just as a man burdened by obligations, but as a figure willing to fight for something greater, something that would benefit his family and community. "I'm proud of you, Lily," he said softly, voice a low rumble against the excitement of the crowd. "You taught me that courage lies in vulnerability." Tears welled up in her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. She knew they had crossed a threshold, that the shadow of fear would no longer silence their dreams. "That's right, Dad," she said, beaming bright as the sun's rays poured through the diner's windows. "Together, we'll write the next chapter of Elmwood's story." The buzz of hushed but excited voices echoed as they began to explore the corners of their community, finding ways to lift each other up, to share their truths, their dreams. No longer alone, they would venture beyond the confines of the diner and into the bright horizon of possibilities. As laughter and chatter filled the room, Lily felt the warm embrace of acceptance wrap around her heart. Change was no longer a daunting abyss, it was a bright path ahead, a promise shared in the smiles around her and the stories waiting to be born. From that moment, it became clear Lily and her father, together with their town, would not just transform lives, they would inspire a revolution of heart and hope. "Let us do this," she shouted, her voice ringing clear like a bell, summoning the power they all had within. And at that moment, a wave of determination surged through the room, breathing life into the narrative they had only begun to tell. This was their time. It was time for change. If you felt inspired by Lily's story of courage and transformation, I urge you, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will continue to uplift and inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this message far and wide. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your voices. And for the love of community, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. You need to subscribe now, because this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Together, let's uplift every dream.